Today, the world was struck with an historic IT outage as Windows systems in businesses and government buildings around the globe were sent into endless boot loops. This has led to business at airports and banks grinding to a halt, while hospitals have wound up canceling non-emergency operations and, this one's really awful, emergency hotlines, so 911, even went down in multiple U.S. states. Cybersecurity company Microsoft's got to be sitting there going, okay, this is bad, but at least it wasn't us.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity company Crowdstrike has taken responsibility for the outage, which was apparently caused by a faulty software update for their Falcon sensor security platform. The company has enacted a fix, but, okay, dude, have you looked at the replies on their Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw everything from people claiming to be shareholders asking pointed questions about how they're going to regain trust and have a functioning business moving forward, to IT managers demanding to know what the compensation is going to be. And if you're wondering why they're so mad, guys, this is not like, roll it back, okay? The fix is in. That's not what that means, but the point is, there is a fix, but unfortunately, it requires the affected computer to be...
turned on. It needs to work, which
it
can't turn on right now because it's boot looping.
Yes,
so you have to have physical access to the machine, boot into some safe mode, and then manually remove files.
Yes. So first of all, the computer has to be online, and then there's the other fix, which they suggest rebooting the computer as many as 15 times might fix it. So that one,
I haven't heard
great.
That one. Okay.
And then there's the one that Luke said where you can reboot in safe mode, remove some files, and then boot again, be online, and get it fixed.
And CrowdStrike, there was groups before CrowdStrike said anything, I believe, that came up with ways to fix it, which was cool. And then CrowdStrike put out like an official way to do it, which is a little bit cleaner and worked well. But you need manual, in-person intervention. So companies that have outsourced or remote IT are in a pretty rough spot right now.
Yeah, this is kind of scary.
Also, a fun one. Did you see the BitLocker stuff? Is that in here?
No, I heard about it. I have only heard about as much as you just said. Apparently, Microsoft is like nuking BitLocker keys or something like that. Can you elaborate?
So a lot to do with this story is happening kind of live. This is still a little early to talk about it, I think. I've read a decent amount of stuff that has turned out to be misinformation already. This doesn't seem to be one of those things. I'm just warning people that that's true. Also, as with all of these types of topics, there's only so far we can really go into it. I would recommend checking out various people that cover this type of thing more in depth. But the BitLocker stuff, to be able to get into the computer in that way, you're going to need your BitLocker key. A lot of these companies are storing their BitLocker keys on systems that currently can't turn on. So they literally are just stuck. They might even have IT teams ready to come in and fix this stuff in person. They might be ready to go, and there's nothing they can do because they can't even get the computers to the point where they could even fix it because they need the BitLocker keys, and the BitLocker keys are stuck on a computer that they can't fix. So rough.
Linux systems are unaffected by the outage, as are Windows systems in Russia, of all places, where CrowdStrike software is unavailable due to sanctions.
And coupled in with that, effectively just it's CrowdStrike. So if you don't have CrowdStrike on your system, you're not affected.
So our discussion question here is, this is kind of like if Y2K actually happened the way that people worried it would. Obviously, on a relatively small scale, because not every organization is using CrowdStrike, I have to confess to you, I was not aware of them. I don't live in that space.
I have heard a data point. I think this came from John Hammond. I heard a data point that was over 500 of the top 1,000 U.S. companies run CrowdStrike.
With that said, Y2K was,
you were to be everything.
You were pretty young when the fear mongering was going on.
Oh, but I was walking around Best Buy when they all had the Y2K stickers and all that kind of stuff.
Y2K was a huge deal. Literally, the FUD that was floating around was that when the clock struck midnight on the year 2000,
Robot uprising.
and every software that had a calendar that was only programmed to go as high as 1999, and then it would just crash. Like literally every computer, unless it was Hacksorted to be Y2K compliant, but even then, I don't know, it might break. And all software was just going to stop working. Planes were going to fall out of the sky. Like just everything was going to be absolute chaos and on fire. And this was horrible, but it wasn't quite that.
It wasn't that. I've heard everyone and their mom bringing up the Y2K reference. There's been a lot of people saying the same things about this whole CrowdStrike thing, but hugely impactful. I think it's going to take quite a while for us to actually really understand what the impact was. Because I saw, and you don't know what of these images are doctored or not doctored, but I saw an image of an MRI machine that was blue screened out. There's questions on what is this going to do to global supply chain? Anytime global supply chain is impacted, I know a lot of people might be like, oh, it doesn't affect me. It affects everybody.
Yep.
From food to standard consumables like toilet paper. We've seen that
transportation,
happen before.
everything.
General transportation. Fuel. It's the amount of people that were grounded because a lot of the airlines weren't running. How is that going to impact things? Some of that travel wasn't just people going on vacation for funsies.
Yep.
It was very important things happening. Southwest, I heard this through grapevines. This is another one of the things where I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that Southwest is still up and running just fine because they're still running Windows 3.1. So no problems there.
Here's my big question, or here's my big fear. This was an oopsie doodles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The implication of that is insane. I think we're looking at what effectively war would be like if it was through large world powers.
Yeah, if we were looking at state-sponsored activity that was not just harassment,
trolling,
digital
fake news,
skirmishes,
Yeah.
like what an actual all-out assault on our digital infrastructure might look like.
Because we've often talked about things like power, water, these standard infrastructure things. I don't think we've thought about something on this level before. Another part of that topic is it's often discussed about how the most effective way to deliver malware is effectively usually social engineering. What if you just got a job at one of these companies and then push something? Sheesh, man.
Yeah. So
if it's a I don't remember exactly what state sponsored that might be something that's a viable option.
Yeah, and to be clear, we don't necessarily we know enough.
We don't know
to kind of go, that could potentially be plausible or that couldn't, but we don't know exactly what exploits are there. And I guarantee you, what I can tell you for sure is that there are 0 days that large entities have in their back pocket that they are waiting to use. And they are constantly developing new ones as these things get patched and as the holes get filled in. And it is terrifying to think of trying to operate in this modern world if there was a capable, organized actor that was working to prevent us from having access to what is a basic necessity now, like power and running water. Right? It's not like we just got in-home plumbing 20 years ago and the well, still works. And everyone, for the most part, still lives walking distance from it. It's...
Yeah.
We'd be ducks. Ducks that are sitting. That's the word for it, right? Ducks that are sitting?
Sitting ducks, yeah.
No, ducks that are sitting. Nobody says it that weird way you said it.
Someone posted this. Apparently Air India's systems were down, so they started handwriting tickets.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you gotta respect the hustle.
I kind of like it. You gotta do what you gotta do.
So CrowdStrike, do they survive this? Remember, this is America. This is the land of the lawsuit. People are going to die. Well, rather, they're going to start tallying up.
Yeah, it's going to be billions. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
CW Float says renewals are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, this took out the FAA. I'm not.
They apparently lost about 20% of their valuation.
Yeah, their stock tanked pretty hard. I don't know. They're an actually enormous company, but it's not like there isn't other options sitting there. And honestly, it's not like plug and playing some of these other options would even be all that hard. I'm sure companies like SentinelOne, the one that we use, are looking at this just hungry.
This is crazy. Tilt Lord says, did you see the Wall Street Bets post a few hours before the update where a guy was saying CrowdStrike was overvalued and shorted the stuffing out of it? Good job. Lucky job.
Congrats on the yacht.
Congratulations on winning the lottery. Yeah. Because that's what you did.
Yeah.
But wow.